and welcome to Quantum Canine. I'm Trisha Selbach, and this is Kevin Behan.
Good morning, Trisha.
Hello. And today we are going to be talking about dominance. And it's interesting to talk to you about dominance because your father was really the first dominance dog trainer in America.
Right. I believe he was the first one to apply the theory of a dominance hierarchy among wolves to the relationship between a dog and its owner.
And there was a fair amount of studies in the 50s that were studying captive wolves, and that seems to be the one place where this whole idea of the dominance hierarchy sort of became popularized.
Yeah, it became scientifically accredited through those studies. Although in my father's case, he said he watched a mother raise her pups for a whole year, which is really kind of rare when you think about it. Most pups go on their ways, and you don't see that. So he watched her discipline as he saw it, the puppies. And then he formulated his idea of raising and training a dog and fixing problem behaviors based on, as he saw it, a lack of respect between dog and owner, or in the owner for the dog. He used to always say that every dog is born with an innate respect of a human, and then the owner throws it away. So that was his way. He looked at all behavior, all problem behavior, most of it. And then the science came along, and that's where he found, scientific accreditation for that concept. But he was probably the first alpha dog trainer, and right after World War II.
So the magic of what he did was that he looked at the wolf and extrapolated, what you could learn about dogs from the wolf. Where you departed from him was that you said what we're seeing isn't really dominance.
Right. So I had a breakthrough in the 70s where I realized everything was a function of the immediate moment. The dogs don't think, and we'll have to go into that at length at some point. So I realized that everything was happening in the immediate moment. Well, what follows immediately from that is that the information is in the energy, because energy is an immediate moment phenomenon. And the information is in the energy, and it weaves a group of dogs into a group, or it weaves individuals into a group. So energy, by definition, begets the group. So then I was looking at, well, why would that be the way it is? And it quickly became apparent to me that it's the hunt that produces the social, the pack, not the other way around. So all the theorists at the moment are saying the pack, a respect for subordinates to a leader, allows for teamwork and cohesion, and that allows the hunt. And I realized from my immediate moment theory that was completely inside out. We were seeing it inside out, in reverse. The truth is that the hunt begets the pack, not the other way around.
Oh, that's very interesting. And
let me give you a little background on that. Out west is the western coyote, which normally lives like foxes. And there's a solitary breeding pair, the litter, and then they disperse at the end of the year. So there's always these just a small group of foxes, and they hunt like foxes do, rodents. And the western coyote is much smaller than the eastern coyote. However, when there's high snows and they can't get at their regular prey, and meanwhile the elk and caribou are becoming vulnerable to the high snows, they can't protect their calves, they start to form packs. And they start hunting the young of the caribou and even the weak elders, and they form packs of extended groups. And they have dominant hierarchies. And when I use the word dominant, I always put the quotes there. They form a social structure that you could call a dominant hierarchy. They defend territory, and they become like a wolf pack. And then once they can get to the regular prey again, away goes the group, and they go back to that fox-like existence.
So the necessity for the pack is because wolves hunt animals much bigger and more powerful than themselves.
Right. They are emotionally driven to hunt the moose and the muskox and the bison, animals that are physically superior to them. Even when 10 wolves confront one moose, the moose can easily fend them off. So interesting question is, why are they emotionally attracted to the moose? But nevertheless, that mandate forces them, compels them, motivates them to want to be in a group. It is the basis of their social nature, not the other way around.
And the pack the pack life, as we've talked about before, when they're acting so-called dominant and submissive, what they're really doing is they're stressing each other out, and they're kind of building up the energy in each other's systems
Right.
so that they can go out and hunt these enormous animals.
Right,
and
right.
so both of the pack life and the hunting are sort of dependent on each other.
What's really fascinating is once you understand the immediate moment phenomena, you can zoom in tight to know what's going on within the individual's mind, and you can back out and zoom way out and see the species point of view, the instinct's point of view. You can even see nature's point of view, I dare say. You can even see the whole matrix in one lump sum, from one wide-angle view. So the immediate moment it's like an electron microscope. You can look in. It's like a linear particle accelerator. You can expand and see the tiniest elements playing out over the longest term.
So when you talk about immediate moment, you're saying the wolf or the dog, they're not thinking about what happened in the past. They're not thinking about what's going to happen in the future. They're reacting and acting upon in the moment.
They're going by feel.
They're going by how the other wolf is acting, and it's sort of a
Right.
ping pong back and forth.
Yeah, there's actually one group mind. It actually envelops the prey as well, encompasses the prey. And I like to reference Barry Lopez. I recommend people read Barry Lopez of Wolves and Men. He has a chapter, A Conversation with Death, where these wolves trot through a resting herd of caribou, and way in the far horizon, the designated animal gets up. He's it. He knows it. The wolves know it. All the other caribou know it too. They're just laying down. They're chewing their cud as the wolves go by. They could care less that the wolves are going right by them. And then they stare at each other for 10 minutes, and finally the caribou runs, they kill it, they eat it. The biologist Lopez comes over and does a postmortem and finds out that it does have the brain weevil, the parasite that gets into the brain. And so he was compromised.
So the wolves aren't thinking.
They're feeling.
They're feeling it, right.
My point being is they're feeling what is the energy of the herd, and everybody feels it. So it's a perfect communication. And now I came to these conclusions through my work with police dogs. And I realized, as it was pointed out to me, I should say, by some of my mentors, that a police dog never does the same thing twice. He never goes after the same criminal twice, and if he were to go after the same criminal twice, it would always be different contexts, different circumstances. So training by rote won't cut it. And training with this dominant principle, where the handler's dominant to the dog, and the dog is supposed to dominate the criminal, that doesn't cut it either, because you quickly discover dominance is unsureness, it's insecurity. So every police dog trainer in the world is purging dominant expressions of dominance from their candidates. They don't want to see that because they know it's fear. So I just said, well, if it's fear on the protection training field, why isn't it fear in the household?
Right.
What's the immediate moment thing going on inside the dog? It's fear.
Right.
And so the question I like to ask is, when we look at the tape, is who is in control of who? If we have to impose the idea of control onto what animals are doing, which is completely a concoction of the human intellect, if we were going to use that as a standard, who actually is in control of who? And you'll see it's the exact opposite of the prevailing mindset. Matter of fact, Ian Dunbar is a respected thinker on dogs. He's gone so far as to say there's a submissive hierarchy, not a dominant hierarchy. I would challenge even that, because that's still using the logic of control, but it's definitely much more closer to the truth.
So you're not saying there's one animal is exerting control as in like a pecking order,
Right.
but that there's a communication between the animals, and that there's an
Yeah,
attraction.
here's an inviolate rule. So, for example, if you look, there is no evidence for dominance hierarchy. If you were to look at A dominates B, B dominates C, well, C could very easily dominate